Hello, I'm Aidan and you are the listener, and this is Switching to the Future, a lame and short weekly podcast where I discuss the latest news about Nintendo and occasionally discuss other mostly relevant topics. Hello, it's Friday again. Happy Friday. It's the 11th of April 2025 and Switch 2 is due out in 55 days. Now, I would chant 50 more, as Steve Ballmer did last week during Microsoft's anniversary thing, but he was chanting for a completely different reason, the 50th anniversary of Microsoft, and also this podcast does not land on the 50 days to go milestone. So you won't hear me chant 50 more like how I chanted developers a few months ago. What was that? October? January? Also, the Mario Kart directors in 6 days' time. So, let's get to business. Nintendo Music got the original soundtrack for Luigi's Mansion this week. So, yeah, I just hummed some of the music right there. And Nintendo Switch Online... No, not Nintendo Switch Online Sega Mega Drive. Nintendo... Is even Nintendo Classics? I don't even know what they call it anymore, but the Sega Mega Drive / Sega Genesis catalogue that is available with the Switch Online expansion pack. I'll try and get the name clarified for the next drop. Has gone its second drop in a surprisingly short amount of time compared to the last one, considering it took over a year. This week, Streets of Rage, I believe that's quite a notable game. eSWAT City Under Siege, looks like some kind of Robocop-inspired game, and Super Thunderblade. I don't really have anything to say about these games, except Street of Rage is quite popular. So, yeah. Also, pre-orders for Switch 2 got delayed in the USA due to tariffs, and in Canada to align the pre-order dates. I won't say more than this, as this isn't a political show. If you are concerned about this, please consult gaming news websites, your local retailers, and Nintendo's own websites for up-to-date details, as I only do this podcast once a week. So, here's a bit of news for Switch 2, and then I'll bring up something a bit different. Switch 2 will have no eShop music. They said, well, it's because it has tons of trailers on it. Makes sense, but like, the Wii U eShop had a ton of trailers on it. The Nintendo channel was all trailers, and it had music. Yeah, you know that little channel on the Wii? Hell, they even gave it a second track after like a year. So, it's not needed. Also, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if music puts a burden on the Switch 1, or possibly, I don't know. I do not know. Anyways, Switch 2 cartridges will taste bad, just like Switch 1 cartridges. Joy-Con 2 will not have Hall Effect sticks. Before you panic, Nintendo's probably found a solution to Joy-Con drift. Joy-Con 2 wrist straps will also be much easier to remove than the originals by the looks of things, and it looks like you can't get them stuck upside down. Nintendo released a little video on how to attach and detach them on Nintendo Today this week. And now for a bit of pricing news that may or may not anger some of you. About $10 United States for the Zelda Switch 2 edition upgrades. We don't have European pricing. I'd assume €10 and £10. Breath of the Wild's DLC won't come with the Switch 2 edition, so that's annoying. I'll get into that later. And $10 United States for the Switch 2 Welcome Tour. Alright deal, considering it is sort of a game to learn about all the little tidbits in it. A bit like Nintendo Labo's Discover section. So, yeah. And now for something a bit different before I head into topic of the week. A YouTuber by the alias of Chicken Dog is camping outside of Nintendo's New York store in hopes of getting a Switch 2 from there first. Good luck to him, despite the fact that some are saying he's doing it for attention, and since this is an opinionised podcast in video game affairs, mainly Nintendo, I'll say his crew is definitely a bit loud and crazy. Not the kind of people I'd usually watch. And apparently he was handing out business cards to people in line for the Switch 2 experience in New York. But looking at his channel, he's a legitimate Nintendo fan, so I'm cool with him. As in, like, I don't mind him doing it. If it was a scalper or somebody just doing it for the attention and didn't like Nintendo, I'd be like, yeah, don't care. Also, the YouTuber Super Cafe is doing essentially the same, but outside the Nintendo San Francisco store that is opening up next month, and then camping there again until Switch 2. So, good luck to him as well. Haven't watched anything about him, so I have little to no opinion. So, yeah. And now for topic of the week number 16. The pricing problem, and why now's not the time to complain mostly outside of Zelda not coming with the DLC. This won't mention political reasons in regards to pricing, as this isn't a political show. So, yeah. The console itself is fairly priced. It's still less than Xbox Series X, even the digital-only model, or PS5 with a disc drive, and it's only £5 more than a digital edition PS5. The Mario Kart bundle is the same price as an all-digital Xbox Series X, and less than any other Xbox Series X or a PS5 with a disc drive. The console is also £5 less than a PSVR 2, and that's without a PS5 or PC adapter. So, the console's fairly priced. Third cheapest console on the market, behind the Switch One line and the Xbox Series S line. But sorry for the cough. I do have a problem with the pricing. In part with mainly Zelda Switch 2 Edition. Because Spider-Man PS4, it released in 2018, re-released as a Game of the Year edition with DLC included for free in 2019. Then, in 2020, they re-released a remaster that came with the spin-off game if you paid an extra 20 quid on top of the spin-off game. So you're essentially paying 70 quid for the original game with the DLC and better graphics and the spin-off. Zelda, on the other hand, you buy the Switch 2 edition, no DLC, gotta buy it. Even though Zelda Breath of the Wild has been out for 8 years. Yet Spider-Man PS4, arguably considered to be one of the best Spider-Man games out there, had it in 2 years, and Marvel is a much bigger moneymaker franchise than Zelda usually. Now, Zelda does make a lot of money these days. And it definitely did make a lot of money before these days, before the Switch and all that, but come on, Nintendo. And that's all I really have to rant about the pricing. I would rant about game pricing, but I want to wait for the reveal of the prices for Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment and Dragix Drive before I make a final decision, because Donkey Kong Bonanza looks like it is a AAA game. It looks like one. Not in graphics, but in gameplay, this, that, this, and what you can do. Mario Kart World? Yeah, that's an obvious cash grab. There's an obvious reason why they're charging more than usual. If not ever so slightly, but it's Mario Kart. It's gonna sell. So, yeah. Also, it looks to be the biggest Nintendo game to ever release that isn't an RPG, so yeah. And that's all my ranting for today. Have a good rest of your week. Thank you for listening, and goodbye.